So today's Torah portion is Mishpatim, and the first verse is the verse that talks to us about what is going to be required of a Jew. The verse states, "Ve'ela Mishpatim asher tasim lifnehem." These are the laws that will be placed before them, and the laws that we're going to be talking about are civil laws. Now, at first glance, you might think, there's nothing that's necessarily Jewish about these laws. I can understand the laws of Shabbat. That's something that's very Jewish. But these laws, I might think, like, what's so Jewish about them? So Rashi tells us right away from the very beginning, Ve'ela mishpatim. If we just say Ela, that would mean that it was a break from the past, that it was like a but to everything that was said before it. But since it says ve'ela and these, it means it's a continuation of the previous laws, and Rashi's telling us Mari Shona Misinai, Af Elo Misinai, just like the earlier laws were from Sinai, so too these laws are from Sinai. We might have thought that this is just a civil code. The civil code is not necessarily from Sinai. Every nation needs a civil code, or else there's anarchy. Everybody needs to know what the common law is. Everyone needs it. There's nothing special, specific about these laws. So we're saying right from the very beginning, Rashi says, Ve'ela mishpatim, just like the earlier ones are from Sinai, also these are from Sinai. And not only that, Rashi tells us, why is this passage placed next to the altar? Meaning to say the previous passage in the Torah is the idea that you're not allowed to have steps going up the altar. You have to have a ramp. We're going to come back to this idea. There's a beautiful idea from the Baal HaTurim. But Rashi says it's to tell us that you're supposed to put the Sanhedrin, the high court, next to the altar. The Sanhedrin issued their rulings from the Lishkat HaGazit, from the hewn chamber, which was partially on in the temple and partially off the temple, but it was located on the Temple Mount. And so we're being told that the high court has to be next to the altar to basically reinforce this idea. Now, when the court is issuing a ruling, it's not just a civil ruling that the court is issuing. It's not just a question of the Supreme Court of the land. The Supreme Court is speaking in the name of Hashem. It's an avoda. It's a service that they are doing as part of their service to Hashem. So these laws are not just quote unquote laws between man and man. These are part and parcel of what it means to be a Jew. And not only that, there's a very powerful phrase in this Rashi. Rashi says that what does it mean you shall place these laws before them? Rashi says that we're obligated, that when Moshe Rabbeinu was teaching these laws, Moshe Rabbeinu was obligated not just to tell people the law so that they can memorize the civil code. No, Moshe Rabbeinu was commanded to place it before them. Moshe Rabbeinu was commanded to explain the core of the laws in a manner that they understood the essence, the conceptual basis for the laws, like a set table that was placed before them. And this is the idea that the laws need to be prepared and arranged like a Shulchan Aruch, like a set table. You come into your home when somebody was there before you and they set the table so beautifully for you. How nice is that? That's how these laws have to be prepared. And this became the basis for the name for the most famous code in Jewish law, which is called the Shulchan Aruch. So the Shulchan Aruch is the code of Jewish law. Now you might ask the question, why do we need this to be at Sinai? Rashi's telling us that these laws are taught at Sinai. Why do we need these laws to be at Sinai? I can understand why there's the mitzvah of Shabbos at Sinai, but why do these specific laws need to be taught at Sinai? So there's a few different approaches to this, but let me first start off by sharing the approach of the Dudaei Reuven. The Dudaei Reuven, who we always like to talk about every week, at least once, to share his approach. He writes as follows. He says, first of all, Moshe says to the Jewish people, God gave you your Torah. So he quotes an earlier midrash that God gave you his Torah. If you don't do these laws, notel Torah tomikem. God will remove his Torah from you. Lama, why? Why, if you don't follow these civil laws, and what are the civil laws we're talking about? Basically, damages, if you hurt somebody, if your ox scores, what you have to do, if you misplaced a deposit that you're watching. These are basic civil laws. So what does it mean that if you don't follow these laws, you're going to lose the Torah, that God will take it from you? The only reason why God gave you this Torah was so that you can do these laws. And if you do these laws, if you do these laws in the future, then what's going to happen is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem Yisbarach, will return to you your courts. As it states, Vashiva Shoftayach Karishona. This is the basic midrash, meaning to say, and the Dudaei Reuven goes into a long discussion of it, which we're not going to go into full depth, but I want to read a passage at the end. But the basic question is, what does it mean that if we do these laws, we get the Torah, otherwise we lose the Torah? And he says as follows. I'm going to skip to the end of his beautiful essay about the importance of doing the civil laws, of being careful and scrupulous with as relates to civil laws. And he writes as follows: Yisod shel mishpatim, the foundational essence of the civil laws by the Torah HaKodesh in the Torah. This is the Yisod, this is the foundational idea. I see the hand. Let me just say this point. This is the foundational idea of Bein Adam L'Chaveiro, of interpersonal behavior that Chazal established. Whatever is hated upon you, do not do to your friend. This shezui kol Torah kula. This is the essence of the Torah, and all the rest is commentary. And that's what Hillel says to a person who wants to convert in Tractate Shabbat 31a. And this is the verse of love your neighbor like you love yourself. Shu kolel kol dine. This includes all the laws between a man and his fellow friend. And so somebody who violates this and steals or robs or damages his friend, the Torah says that this person will be punished because this person is creating a breach in the basic concept of between a man and his fellow man. And this is a Dudaei Reuven's statement. This is a conditional clause of the partnership of humanity. And our sages said, whoever judges a case properly will become a partner in the creation of the world. What does it mean he'll be a partner in the creation of the world? That means to say, this is the Dudaei Reuven, and he's basing this upon weaving together beautiful midrashim. He writes that it is impossible for a world to exist without a set of civil laws and laws between man and his fellow friend. And as it states in the rabbis and the Talmud, if there is no justice, if there's no judgment below, there will be judgment above. That the world cannot exist without this order of fair justice, that people will steal and rob from his friend. And if the courts will sit and they will not judge this case properly, then the world will be in anarchy. And this is what it means that if we say if the courts judge properly, humanity will be a partner in the creation of the world. The basic idea of what the Dudaei Reuven is saying is that at Sinai, we had to establish this basic idea. Hashem established this basic idea that without a judicial system that was based upon honesty and fairness and integrity, the world could not exist. So the most religious thing we could do is to create a fair and competent judicial system. And that's why at the very beginning, right next to Sinai, it says Ve'ela Mishpatim. Civil laws is not something independent of religious law. It is the center of what it means to be the partner of God in the creation of the world. That's the way the Dudaei Reuven formulates it. And we'll see in a moment, Rabbi Soloveitchik says something similar, but first we'll pause from what the Dudaei Reuven said to take some questions.